Good morning. If I can get folks to take their seats, we'll get this going here. You know how these former presidents of systems are. I now call to order this morning's meeting of the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System. Carol, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Drew Brown, Mr. Barry Busada, Dr. Jimmy Clark,
Here.
Mr. Steve Davison,
Here.
Ms. Lola Donahoe, Dr. Jill Leatherman, Dr. John Noble, Mr. Al Perkins, Mr. Dana Peterson,
Here.
Ms. Elizabeth Pierre,
Here.
Mr. Virgil Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Mark Romero,
Here.
Ms. Christine Russell,
Here.
Mr. Joe Salter, Mr. Brad Stevens,
Here.
Ms. Julie Stokes. We have a quorum.
All right. Thank you, Carol. Mr. Salter, will you now please lead us in the invocation as we begin this morning's business?
Dear Father, we thank you for the opportunity you give us today to meet. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful day that you've been given. Lord, I ask that you guide and direct us as we make decisions, policy on board, that those policies would be what's in the best interest of the students in our state and also for taxpayers. Lord, we would lift up all those who have positions of leadership and responsibility in the system and ask that you would guide and direct each of them. And again, that would be the same prayer, Lord, for us here today. We thank you for your many blessings and ask for forgiveness of sin. For Christ's sake. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Salter, on a personal note of privilege, I want to thank you for the message that you consistently deliver in different ways, but it always means a lot to me to hear it at the start of these meetings. So thank you very much. At this time, the Honorable Judge Roger Hamilton, Jr., District Court Judge, Division H of the 16th Judicial District Court, will administer the oath of office to Mr. Drew Brown and to Mr. Mark Romero.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. Judge Hamilton has a history with our system office. I thought it was really neat when he and I were talking about today's ceremony, and I want to thank him for coming here today. He served as an intern in this office as part of a Nichols State University program, and actually worked with Carol. So it's pretty exciting to have him back here today. And again, another good testament of the quality of people that are part of the output of our system. I want to thank you again for everything you do at a local level, at a state level. I know that you serve this state really, really well, and I'm very proud to call you a friend. Thank you today for administering our oaths. Next, I would like to sincerely thank Dr. Clark for everything you've done, for everything that you've put forth in terms of discharging your duties as a board member. I know that you have a sincere interest in advancing our system and advancing all of our universities, and certainly delivering a quality product to our students and being accountable to them. Without your guidance and leadership, I think there would be a big missing element on our board. And I just can't thank you enough for all of that you do.
Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
It's an honor to succeed you. Jimmy, if you don't mind, we'd like to recognize your service. And if you could step down in front of the dais with Rick and I, we just have a little something for you. Additionally, as you remember, last meeting was Bailey's last meeting on April 25th. Mr. Drew Brown was elected by his peers to serve as this year's student board member. I just want to, assure all of you that his rights and his voice on this board is equal to every one of us. And we all respect and support his ability to make contributions in representing students and certainly helping us to do things to advance our whole cause. He's a McNeese student. I think he is going to do a very good job. I've had the honor of spending a little time with him as he's onboarding, and definitely want to congratulate and welcome you to our board. Just a note on a personal note, I would say that I've had the honor of being elected previously by this board. Many of you put faith and trust in me to allow me to serve as chairman, and I would definitely tell you that going forward, my interest to continue doing that and the honor of being appointed by Governor Landry is something I take very, very seriously. I want to give a special thank you to Governor Landry for his trust and confidence in me and appointing me as chairman of this board. His advocacy and commitment to higher education in Louisiana will continue to move us forward, and we are fortunate to have a governor and a legislature who value the services and the impact that we bring to the UL system. It's imperative that we continue to align with their vision in preparing the people of Louisiana for a brighter future, doing a better job of helping them as our graduates choose Louisiana as the best place for their future. Our system offers top-tier research universities. We compete nationally in athletics. And more importantly, we play a key role in graduating extraordinary engineers, educators, healthcare providers, the many different disciplines that are offered throughout our campuses, business people, all serving the varying needs of our state. I'm proud to say that we have many shining examples who are products of our system. Judge Hamilton, Governor Landry, my alma mater, University of Louisiana Lafayette is his as well, and continuing our efforts to bring accomplished graduates as they embark on their mission to conquer their dreams in the most prepared way. On a simple note in closing, I'm committed to leading our focus on some basic priorities. I'm going to use a simple acronym. We're going to say A's and E's: accountability and enrollment. I think if we look at most of what we do, those two categories bring a qualitative and a quantitative aspect, and they align our duties with the expectations that range from students to accrediting bodies. More to come. Stay tuned, guys, and we look forward to a productive year. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April meeting?
So I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Salter, second by Mr. Stevens. Any questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Today, we propose to meet as a committee of the whole, and if everyone, so that everyone can vote on each item. Each committee chair will conduct the business of the particular committee. I'd like to start, Mr. Peterson, with academic affairs. Actually, we need to have a motion, if you would, to approve meeting as a committee of the whole. Moved by Mr. Perkins, second by Mr. Peterson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Peterson, if
Thank
you
you.
would, on academic
Thank you,
affairs.
Mr. Romero. We have two items, members, on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee agenda. All items are consent items and require approval. Dr. Claire Norris will walk us through.
Good morning, Supervisor Peterson, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and members of the board. We have two action items for you to consider, and I'll walk you through at this time. Item E1 is a request from Nicholls State University and the University of New Orleans to enter into a memorandum of understanding to allow for UNO to offer engineering courses on the Nicholls campus. For me, this could not demonstrate a better example of systemness, where both universities are agreeing to pursue, design, and implement collaborative academic offerings focused on improving engineering workforce talent through curricular delivery. At this time, I'd like to invite representatives from both campuses to join me at the testimony table to share more about this collaborative work and address any questions you guys may have.
Hi, I'm Lizette Chevalier. I am the Dean of the Dr. Robert A. Savoy College of Engineering at UNO. I completely support this proposal, this MOU. Our program has a demonstrated record of success in serving the industries of the greater New Orleans area. We are well positioned to partner with Dr. Doucet and the College of Sciences and Technology at Nicholls. We will serve the industries in their surrounding area. Let me give you a sense of what mechanical engineers do. We prepare our students for professional practice with principles of engineering, basic science, math, multivariate calculus, and differential equations. We take an application of these principles to model, analyze, design, and realize physical systems, components, processes. We do a coverage of both thermal and mechanical systems. We demonstrate this continuously through our accreditation. We already have a pathway. We do pre-engineering with Nicholls already. We have had around 100 students from their pre-engineering program come to UNO, to our engineering program. And we have graduated 33 of these students since 2008. 9 of which were in mechanical engineering. I look forward to this collaborative partnership and the future growth of both of our institutions.
Good morning. John Ducey, Dean of Sciences and Technology at Nicholls State University. I'll tell you a little bit about the nature of the collaboration. The collaboration between the universities is designed to improve the engineering workforce talent, as well as address current and future needs of the engineering workforce in southeastern Louisiana. In this collaboration, we'll deliver up to 6 semesters of coursework toward the Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering to students domiciled on the Nicholls campus in Thibodeau. Our objectives between the universities include delivering coursework through a combination of methods, including in-person, virtual, hybrid, and low residency, developing an unambiguous guide for the transfer of all coursework in engineering between the 2 universities, assuring means for student-faculty interaction, student advising, counseling, professional development, and student interaction with industry and future employers and coworkers, assuring continuous improvement of the collaboration through evaluation and assessment, and facilitating collaborative research and service between university faculties with particular emphasis on involving students. This collaboration will bring an engineering program to Nicholls for the first time in 75 years. This is important not only to increase the opportunities for the students in the Bayou region and the coastal region, but also for regional businesses and industry who see education and training of local students as a fruitful investment in growing the regional educational engineering workforce.
Thank you. And this is certainly a win-win for the University of New Orleans and Nicholls State University. Working with Dr. Johnson, we partner on other things. We're about an hour and 20 minutes apart. Very different institutions. We partner on back office functions like internal auditor. We have a partnership between Nicholls State, John Falls Culinary Institute, and the Hotel, Restaurant, and Tourism Management Program at UNO. We are partners on the coming Maritime Museum, and now we're partners on engineering. I think this is the future, this idea of partnerships and consortial degrees and shared degrees rather than replicating and duplicating across the state. This makes more sense, it's more efficient, it's more effective, and we couldn't be happier than to be a partner with UNO on this. So Dr. Johnson.
Ditto. Ditto. I'll just say that I spent so much of my career living at the intersection of 2 very strong systems. And I think that that's instilled a deep appreciation for me for collaboration, especially in innovative partnerships like this one. I think we live in a state where we can't possibly meet the demand for the numbers of engineers that we need to contribute to the economic development for Louisiana. As Jay said, I've had the great fortune of spending a bit of time in Thibodeau. It's a beautiful campus, and I'm just delighted that students will be able to remain in place and finish out their degree goals and hopefully stay in that region. So thank you for your consideration.
Any questions?
Dr. Clark. Yes, first of all, I appreciated the comments on the collaboration, partnership, and the future and the wave of the future. I think I would concur with you 100%. To that end, I know that Dr. Norris, you're here as a substitute, but from a system level, are we working to identify additional opportunities between other institutions, either proximate or not, and or places where we might be able to accelerate this conversation? Do you know if Dr.
But always system. It really speaks to the work that we do around systemness. And so where the opportunities are, we are looking to identify those. This is really a great model framework. And it's certainly innovative. And so, you know, we really cheer you guys on for this work. And I think that will.
Was it a ground up or I mean, did you all do it? I guess what I'm trying to get at is there a role for the board or the board staff to play to maybe identify and encourage collaborations rather than having it just.
It was
organic?
certainly ground up. I think that, you know, having your support and encouragement, and this is certainly, like I said, a framework that we can use. But I think those connections have to be made before it's sort of top down.
Okay. And then, Kathy, you kind of alluded and people can stay in place to do this. Is this, how does this actual process work? Does the student at Nicholls stay and take classes? Is it delivered electronically online? Are we I'm curious how that is working.
So, again, we are, gonna, attempt a diversity of methods. We're gonna try on ground first, and for specialty classes, we might try low residency in New Orleans and otherwise virtual and hybrid classes.
Okay.
We'll figure out what works best.
So ongoing evaluation and qualitative feedback from the participants.
Correct.
Good.
Any other questions from board members?
I just want to say I applaud both of university presidents for coming together on this collaboration. This is going to be a huge benefit to our area. And so I really appreciate that you came to the table, discussed it. We lose so many of I know our young men and women who go to other universities to seek this degree, and our businesses in the area need this. So thank both of you.
Yep. Thank you for your leadership. Is there the next item?
Item E2 is a request from the University of New Orleans for approval to revise its mission statement. Dr. Kathy Johnson will provide you with information regarding their strategic planning process and slight modifications to their existing mission statement that are proposed, which you'll see the highlighted text on the PowerPoint before you.
Yeah, thank you, Claire, and thank you, members of the board, for giving me this opportunity. Back in November, we immediately launched into a process whereby we garnered feedback from our community, mostly through online surveys, but also through interviews. Hundreds of people weighed in on what they considered most important for the future of the University of New Orleans, what values should undergird our work. And then that fed into a pretty comprehensive and pretty rapid planning process, which launched in January. It was premised on 5 pillars. I'm so grateful for members of my campus community and our alumni for participating so avidly in this process. Quite frankly, I wanted a roadmap created very quickly of where we needed to go, particularly as we're working on budget alignment. We wanted to make sure that we were pointing in the right direction and garnering or formulating plans to invest our resources strategically. Throughout this process, there was, of course, a conversation about our mission and our vision. One should always start with that as a foundation. So about midway through, we gathered leaders at the campus together. They were distributed very broadly throughout the various planning groups. And we basically spent about an hour and a half talking about the language of our mission. And what you see before you are just some very minor changes in language. I should start by saying that the vision is beloved and no one wanted to touch the vision, but there were a few slight changes to the mission that we wanted to bring before you because you have the authority to control our missions. We basically wanted to amplify that the vast majority of our programs are intended to be very uniquely tied to the New Orleans region, and especially in terms of the economic development needs of the New Orleans region. We really wanted to emphasize that we are working on enhancing the quality of life, both for the students and the communities that we serve. And then there was a bit of a language change. Rather than service learning, we really wanted to emphasize community engaged learning to encompass not just service, but also internships, externships, project-based learning that takes place in New Orleans. And honestly, one of my real goals is to make sure that every student experiences New Orleans is really an extension of their classroom experience. So the yellow parts are new, and I would be so grateful if you might consider supporting these changes. But of course, I would be also happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, thank you for bringing this forward, Dr. Johnson. Board members, you have any questions? Member Stokes?
Thank you so much. Dr. Johnson, I just wanted to say that I'm really excited about these changes. They might look little, but in spirit, I think they are large. And I think that the city of New Orleans and UNO are just uniquely poised to come together, like especially in urban planning and so many of the degrees that UNO offers. I'm really excited about the idea of community engaged learning. It's something that I've believed could be and should be UNO's niche. So thank you.
Chris, I was driving through that area maybe a couple weeks ago, and I heard on one of the radio stations campaign That was probably my first time here. Marketing and merchandise. It made my ears perk up, and I was glad to hear that. I think that was one local black on station radio.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Johnson. Both of these items, members, have been reviewed by staff and are recommended for approval. Are there any other clarifications board members have? Need, if not, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
So moved, Davidson.
Moved by Supervisor Davidson, seconded by Supervisor Pierre. Any further discussion from the board? Any public comment? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. None opposed? Thank you. Next item is athletics.
We have 12 items on the athletic committee today. All are consent item agendas. Consent agenda items, I'm sorry. Mr. Janae will provide a brief overview of these items.
Thank you so much, Mr. Perkins. Board members, campuses are requesting approval of the following. Each of you were sent out their particular contract, and the executive summary that denotes the specifics of each contract. Our first item is F1 from Grambling, a contract addendum with Dante Jackson, who's head men's basketball coach. F2, Louisiana Tech, approval of a contract with Joshua Taylor, women's softball head coach. For Nichols, item F3, contract with Jonathan Terrell, vice president of collegiate athletic director. F4 from Southeastern, contractual agreements for various assistant associate coaches. Start off with Taylor Dugas, assistant baseball coach. Kenneth Lee Jr., associate women's basketball coach. Charles Linford, assistant track and field coach. And John Pierre, assistant track and field coach. Item F5 is University of Louisiana Lafayette. Contract approved for Theo Slyman, the head men's golf coach. Items F6 through F9 from University of Louisiana Monroe. Contract with Matt Kearns, head women's volleyball coach. An amended agreement to the contract for Missy Bilderback, head women's basketball coach. Amendment to the contract for Rachel Pollock, head women's golf coach. And finally, a contract with Nathan Wiant, head men's golf coach. Items F10 through F12, University of New Orleans, contract with Burtis Kanga, head men's and women's tennis coach. Ashley Preston, head coach and director of volleyball. And finally, a contract with Stacey Hollowell, the new men's basketball coach. And these are all the items I have, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Janae. I did want to ask you a question about the women's golf coach contract for ULM. I was just curious as to what were the terms of that contract? Do you happen to have that in front of you? And when I say terms, as far as the length and the pay.
Yes, sir. The terms of the contract is effective May 7th, 2024. And it is has different performance incentives. Do you want to go into the?
Is there a base starting off?
Sir,
A base pay starting off?
the starting pay?
Yes.
I do not have that.
Okay. If you can just, you
Yeah.
can give it to me after the meeting. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Part of the reason I didn't have it to do with the amendment, it wasn't a new contract, but if it's a new
Right.
contract, at the amount, but I could certainly get that.
Thank you, Mr. Janae. These are the agenda items that have been reviewed by the staff and are recommended for approval. Of course, if any member has a question or wishes to discuss this item, please let me know. Are there any questions, comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If no one requires further clarification of the consent agenda items, may I have a motion and second to approve items F1 through F12?
Second.
I have a motion for move and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Do we have any other business at this time? If not, that concludes the business of the athletic committee. And we'll move on next to the committee is audit.
Thank you, Dr. Perkins, and Ms. Stokes will chair our audit committee today.
Yes, thank you. We have two items on the audit committee agenda today. One is a consent item and the other one is a discussion item. Ms. Jennifer Oberthier will provide a brief overview.
Item G1 is for approval of the annual internal audit plan for fiscal year 25. These plans were prepared in accordance with the internal audit charter for the UL system. The plans have been prepared by the UL system chief audit executive and each institution's internal audit directors with input from campus presidents and other campus administrative personnel.
This agenda item has been reviewed by staff and is recommended for approval. If any member has a question or wishes to discuss this item, please let me know. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? If no one requires further clarification of this consent agenda item, may I have a motion and a second for approval of item G1? All right, so that was a motion by Supervisor Brown and a second by Supervisor Salter. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Item G2 is the report on internal and external audit activity for the period of April 13th to June 3rd, 2024. Last week, each board member received a listing of the internal and external reports completed by various auditors since the last board meeting. Also included in that audit summary are internal audits that are currently in progress and a follow-up timetable to ensure recommendations made in prior reports are implemented. In addition, our internal audit charter requires we make certain assertions to the board annually. Those assertions were detailed in the executive summary that each of you received. Based on the responses from the UL system, CAE, and the institution's internal audit directors, we report there is concurrence with each assertion. This is a report only and no action by the board is necessary.
Do we have any other business at this time? If not, that concludes the business of the audit committee. Do we have a motion to adjourn? And second, and they printed that again without a need to do that. So the next committee is facilities planning.
Thank you, Supervisor Stokes. We have 10 items on the Facility Planning Committee. Mr. Janae will give us an overview. They're all on the consent agenda. Mr. Janae will give us an overview.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peterson. Campuses are requesting approval of the following. Each of you were sent out the executive summary that denotes specifics of each facility planning item. And want to note that those with naming requests, each president has submitted appropriate justification as required by our board rules. The first one is 81 Louisiana Tech, request to accept by bequest in a decedent's will of 3 parcels of land to Tech. Lincoln Parish, 95 acres, and in Union Parish, 2 parcels of 20 acres each, and to record the interest in university records, state land office, and any other location that may be required by state law. Item H2, Louisiana Tech, request to name the atrium at Tech Point, the Argent Financial Group atrium. H3, Nichols, name the 3rd floor auditorium in I.O. Hall, room 301, the College of Nursing, in honor of Dr. Sue Westbrook. And it will be named the Dr. Sue Westbrook Auditorium. H4, Nichols, enter into a land lease with the Nichols State University Foundation to renovate a section of Hill Hall for the Bridge Independence Program as authorized by state law. Donations totaling $1 million were obtained by the foundation for the project. Nichols will receive a portion of the funds to contract for the remediation of environmental issues with the space. Foundation will contract the remaining renovation work. University will grant a one-year period for completion. Upon completion, the foundation will execute a donation to the university of the value of the project. The lease will terminate on June 30th, 2025, or upon completion of construction of the new facility. Item H5 is from Northwestern, enter into a granted facility lease with their Dealers Unlimited Foundation for renovations to the softball field, also as authorized by state law. The lease consists of the softball field turf located on the campus of Northwestern. Project cost is approximately $492,000, paid with private funds. The renovation will include installing artificial turf in the entire field. Item H6 is also from Northwestern, also entered to a granted facility lease with Dealers Unlimited Foundation for renovation to the NSU Brown Stroud baseball field. The lease consists of the baseball field turf and fencing located on the campus. It's approximately $1.4 million project, also paid with private funds. The renovation will include removal of current turf of infield grass and rest areas, and installing turf in the entire field and placing outfield fencing in left field and right field. Want to note that for both projects, the university is granting a 4-month period of time for completion. Upon completion, they will execute a donation back to the university. The lease will terminate on December 31st, 2024, or upon completion. Item H7 is from Southeastern, requesting approval of 3 naming opportunities. Name the reception area in the Southeastern Foundation Center, the F.J. Gayrand 1952 Welcome Room. Name the conference room in the Southeastern Foundation Center, the Gaylord M. Bickham Conference Room. And finally, to change the name for the Southeastern Inn to the Southeastern Foundation Center. Item H8 is from the University of Louisiana Lafayette. They are requesting approval to increase the budget for their Building 29 laboratory renovation that's located on the campus of New Iberia Research Center. From updating the current Federal National Institute of Health design requirements for completing the project, construction costs have increased following the standard design build construction process. This is simply a request to allow UL Lafayette New Iberia Research Center to contribute their own self-generated funds to complete the project up to but not exceeding $10 million threshold that is allowed by state law. It's actually Act 959 that allows the university that they can delegate a project that cost has to be under 10 million. Item H9, also from the University of Louisiana Lafayette, they want to enter into 2 purchase and sale agreements for the acquisition of certain properties located in Lafayette from George Oscar Petro and Agnes Hamilton LeBlanc. Both of these properties are adjacent to property currently owned by UL Lafayette and the Board of Supervisors. University has requested and been appropriated $2 million through the Board of Regents Capital Outlay Savings Fund for these acquisitions. The fair market value of the Petro property is $510,000. The fair market value of the LeBlanc property is $220,000. Both of these properties have been determined by independent certified appraisers. And finally, I'll bring to you item H10, University of Louisiana Lafayette, a couple of names. The Jennifer Ritter Gitter Memorial Gazebo, Jacqueline Amon Student Life Center. Those are all items that have.
Thank you, Mr. Janay. Members, these items have been reviewed by staff and recommended for approval. Do any members have any questions or need further clarification? Dr. Clark?
Quick question on trying to do the math mentally on this UL purchase circumstance. $2 million from Board of Regents fund, but the total amounts of the two parcels is about 7,000.
Well, that is for other,
So-
properties. Well, that I think maybe last year the board meeting that they have bought other properties. So this comes from a total pool of $2 million.
Okay, so it's a pool, so it's not, we're not spending $2 million on less than $1 million worth of property. Good, I just want to be sure. All good.
Good question.
Any other questions from members? If not, could I have a motion to approve? So moved by member Supervisor Brown,
Second.
seconded by Supervisor Davidson. Any other discussion from board members on this? Any discussion from the public? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. I think that concludes the business of facilities. Thank you, Mr. Janae.
Thank
Next up is finance.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Mr. Davidson will lead our Finance Committee discussion.
We have 10 items on the Finance Committee agenda, 9 of which are consent items and 1 is a discussion item. Mr. Eddie Mesh and Ms. Ashley McIntyre will present these consent agenda items at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Davison. Items I-1 through I-4 are Louisiana Tech University's request for approval to replace affiliation agreements with the Innovative Student Facilities, Louisiana Tech Foundation, and Louisiana Tech Alumni Association, and the Funds Management Agreement with the Louisiana Tech Foundation. Affiliation agreements updates will allow the nonprofit corporations to better fulfill their missions to support the university. I-5 is McNeese State University's request for approval to enter into a lease agreement with Sodexo Operations LLC for the operation of food service facilities on the McNeese campus. The agreement is a result of an RFP with Sodexo, which was the only respondent. Sodexo met the minimum requirements and set forth by the RFP and McNeese. The agreement is for 10 years and may be extended for additional periods by the mutual agreement of the parties, not to exceed the total lease term of 20 years. Sodexo will provide McNeese with $350,000 annually in lease payments, $400,000 to reimburse McNeese's prior food service provider for unamortized portion of its investment, $1 million to be used to provide enhancements to the new student union project, $100,000 for renovations and to purchase equipment for use with food service operation, $200,000 for mutually agreed upon dining services enhancements, $300,000 for mutually agreed upon retail dining enhancements, $50,000 per year for annual food service equipment maintenance replacement fund. Sodexo will also pay McNeese a commission based on annual net sale levels. The commission will range from 7% for sales up to $800,000 and 12% for sales greater than $1.2 million. In addition, Sodexo will provide in-kind contributions for complimentary catering, late night breakfast, and other university programming. Item I-6 is University of Louisiana's at Monroe's request for approval of a memorandum of understanding between ULM and Edward Baya College of Osteopathic Medicine to allow reduced tuition to VCOM employees. VCOM desires its faculty and staff to exhibit professional growth to enhance their effectiveness. ULM seeks to assist VCOM employees in achieving professional growth by providing certain tuition benefits to qualified VCOM employees who wish to enroll at ULM. Full-time VCOM employees would be able to register for up to 6 undergraduate or graduate level credits per semester at a reduced rate of $25 per credit hour for undergraduate study, $50 per credit hour for graduate study. In addition, VCOM employees would be assessed all state federally required fees. To be eligible, VCOM employees must be degree seeking and be employed full-time as of first day of instruction. To maintain eligibility, VCOM employees would be required to be in good financial standing with the university and maintain a minimum GPA of 2.5 for undergraduate coursework and 3.0 for graduate coursework. They would also be required to adhere to ULM's required class attendance policy. The maximum number of hours VCOM employees would be able to take under the MOU is 140 undergraduate earned credit hours and 36 graduate earned credit hours. I-7 is University of New Orleans request for approval to convert the Edward G. Schleider Endowed Chair in Urban Waste Management Research into 4 endowed professorships. The chair was created in support of the Urban Waste Management and Research Center, a unit of the Dr. Robert A. Savoy College of Engineering. The chair was funded by a $600,000 gift from the Edward G. Schleider Educational Foundation and a Board of Regents match of $400,000. The focus and needs of the university and its engineering program has changed. The College of Engineering now needs to be flexible to be able to respond to research and development interests of the faculty, to capitalize on funding opportunities available through external agencies, and to address current societal needs. The Edward G. Schleider Foundation has agreed to a conversion of the endowed chair into 4 endowed professorships, which would provide critically needed resources to support the current focus of the College of Engineering and to allow flexibility in the use of these funds. The 4 professorships would be available to department chairs and faculty of the engineering departments. The chair has a corpus value of $1 million, and with accumulated investment earnings, a total value of $1.89 million. With the conversion, each endowed professorship would carry a corpus of $250,000 and a total value of $472,000. The 4 professorships would be named Edward G. Schleider Educational Foundation Engineering Endowed Professorships 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Item I-8 is the system's recommendation to approve revised campus housing, meal plan, and auxiliary rates for academic year 2024-25 for Nichols State University and Southeastern Louisiana University. At our last meeting in April, auxiliary rates were submitted by the campuses and approved by the board. Nichols noted that their submission did not include athletic meal plan options, so they have submitted 3 new athletic meal plans for approval, which you've been provided a copy of. The rates, if approved, will become effective at the start of the fall 2024 term. Also, Southeastern noted that its submission for the last board meeting did not include a necessary increase in the lab school tuition. You've also been provided a copy of their proposed increases. It has been 7 years since the last tuition increase, and if it is approved, this increase will become effective for academic year 24-25.
Item I-9 is University of Louisiana System's recommendation to approve a contract for professional legal services to Queer, Clark, and Adams, LLP. The Louisiana Attorney General has revised its policies for legal service contracts, and boards and commissions are now required to provide minutes showing the board's approval of legal contracts when submitting contracts to the Attorney General. The Queer, Clark, and Adams provides legal services to the board, the system, and universities, and advises the board, system, and universities on legal matters that may arise during the normal course of operations. The Queer, Clark, and Adams does not include legal services related to tort or workers' compensation covered by the Office of Risk Management. The proposed contract has a term of 1 year from July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025. The Queer, Clark, and Adams would provide legal services at rates conforming to the maximum hourly fee schedule approved by the Attorney General on February 16, 2024. The total of all sums payable under the contract includes fees and reimbursement of expenses, which shall not exceed $625,000 and shall be billed in accordance with Policy and Procedure Memo 50. And this completes the consent items, Mr. Davis.
Consent agenda items 1 through 1 and 1 through 9 have been reviewed by the board staff and are recommended for approval. Are there any questions or comments from the board at this time? Dr. Clark.
Relative to items 1 to 4, just clarify for me, we're replacing the existing affiliation agreement with what?
With the university, so to perform their relationship. And it's similar agreements that every university has. And
It's one affiliation agreement, or it's
no,
4 separate?
I tried to put them all in one narrative, but they're 4 different
Okay.
agreements, at state.
Something's happening.
Sorry, Amber Alert, that's not.
But yes, there are 4 different agreements. 3 affiliation agreements and 1 fund management agreement.
Okay.
And they're really created on the templates that the board has provided.
All right. And then the item number 5, when it comes to Sodexo, how many institutions is Sodexo providing services for in our system?
I think 5. I'd have to go back and count them, but
It's multiple.
yes, sir. Absolutely. Probably the most.
Did we compare what McNeese is getting to the others, and is it commensurate? Are we getting a good deal? Did they negotiate it,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
to their advantage?
Depending on, McNeese's on-campus housing population is probably 900 students. And given their enrollment numbers, I think it's fair.
Can you interpret that for me?
Well, it's negotiated between the university and Sodexo, and subject to those negotiations these are the.
I guess I would ask, comparing, I mean, the fact that they have 900, obviously other institutions may have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Comparison wise, does it appear to you to be commensurate?
I'd say so, yes. Considering all the factors that go into a negotiation like this. So if you have, let's say, triple the number of on-site students who stay in on-site housing, they're basically required to buy a meal plan. So the more students who participate, the better the contract. So it depends on the circumstances.
Do you know if there was another competitive bid?
It was the only one. They did an RFP, but Sodexo was the only response.
Okay. And the reason I mean, we've talked shared services and, procurement, opportunities, with multiple campuses, and I don't want to lose sight of that opportunity. At the same time, I have complete awareness over the years now that institutions want to have their own individual because of the individual circumstances. But given that, and when we're having a provider who serves more than one, I just want to be sure that we are leveraging and or looking at ways that in this case, the 5 are getting maximum, knowing that it is all within one system. I hope that there's something of benefit for the institutions as a result of that.
Considering Sodexo has contracts with multiple institutions, I would say that could play a factor. But they're still negotiated individually on a campus-specific basis.
Well, I know they do, and
Yes.
I just want to be sure that we are engaging them in a way, even at the system level, to assure that our institutions are getting the max and or comparable, that one is not somehow being left out. That's all.
Question? Item 7, there aren't any tax consequences to that transaction?
No, sir. I-7, to convert the
Converting
chair.
those into 4 separate,
No, sir. No,
Okay.
it's just basically taking that chair and converting them into 4 professorships. But all the earnings from those will go to you.
will flow
Yes, sir. Same, exactly.
prorated to each one?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or further clarification? Any comments from the public? All right, and before I get a motion, I want to recuse myself on items 1 through 4 that involve the Louisiana Tech, me being a member of the Alumni Foundation. I don't know anything about this, but out of an abundance of caution, I'll recuse myself from that. But with that, may I have a motion and a second for approval of items I-1 through I-9?
I'll
Move
make the motion.
approval.
Or second it, whatever order you want to take.
Take the motion from Mr. Robinson and second from Mr. Stevens. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. And then the discussion item, Eddie? Or Ashley, right?
Item I-10 is a discussion of the fiscal year 24 third quarter financial reports. In your materials, you'll see all of the financial reports I'll be discussing. The first report is a comparison of the operating budget versus actual revenues and expenditures through the third quarter ending March 31st, 2024. Overall, total revenues collected through the third quarter was 89% of budget, and this is expected as virtually all tuition and fees have been collected. This year, the total revenue collected as of March 31st was approximately $842 million compared to $801 million last year. And this increase is mostly from general appropriations. Only 52% or 28 out of 54 million of other revenues were collected. The majority of this variance is because of the timing of a transfer into the operating budget that is done during the fourth quarter and due to the fact that indirect costs collected were lower than expected due to several COVID-related grants ending. Based on conversations with campuses, this is expected to rebound some, but we anticipate some of this may not be collectible. Also, UNO significantly reduced its estimate of other revenues that it expects to collect by year end.
The second quarter, campuses estimated that approximately 50 million of adjustments would be necessary to balance the operating fund budgets by year end. For the third quarter, institutions reported that the amount needed has been reduced to approximately 40 million or about 4% of the budget. Institutions will need to continue to generate additional revenue, use other available institutional resources, including available reserves, or reduce operating fund expenditures to balance their operating fund budgets by the end of the year.
Overall, expenses for the third quarter were 82% of budget, which is slightly higher than expected, and there are a few categories with higher variances to note. Research expense was 86% of budget, and mostly because of ULL's one-time research funding was expended during the second quarter. Scholarships and fellowships were at 107% of budget, which is somewhat higher than expected and budgeted. There were more than expected eligible students at some schools. In addition, some spring scholarships have been budgeted from non-operating funds to help relieve the operating budget. Operations and maintenance of plant expense was 84% of budget, and this is mostly caused by the timing of ORM insurance payments, higher energy costs, and energy surcharge adjustments not being made until the fourth quarter of the year. Operating services expense was 88% of budget, and this is also mostly related to the timing of the ORM insurance payments, IT-related contract payments, and the energy surcharge adjustments not being made until the fourth quarter. Other charges and interagency expense was 98% of budget, and this is mostly related to scholarships and exemptions previously noted. Overall, for expenses, to note that some institutions had not yet transferred actual expenditures from the operating fund to other available university operations and resources to balance the operating fund budget by the year end. These adjustments are expected to occur in the fourth quarter. The second report provided to you is a comparison of actual operating activity between fiscal years 23 and 24, and there are a few items to note as follows. Overall, revenues increased by 5% from the prior year, mostly caused by the increase in general fund appropriations. These increases are mostly related to one-time research-related funding at ULL, system-wide pay increases, and other mandated cost increases. Overall, expenses increased by 6% from the prior year. Research expense increased by 71%, or about $22 million, mostly because of the research-related funding at ULL. The increase in other charges and interagency transfers is also mostly related to that research funding at ULL. There were no other large variances that are unexplained or cause concern. The next report shows the system's total auxiliary and athletic revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balances projected through the end of the fiscal year. I've also provided a report with this information by campus. Campuses expect approximately $265 million in revenues, $297 million in expenses, and $2.5 million in net transfers in, which would result in an overall current year operating deficit of approximately $28 million and an ending negative fund balance of approximately $5 million, which significantly decreased from the prior quarter projection of a positive $7.4 million. The next report presents each campus's current year athletic deficits for fiscal year 23 compared to their projected current year deficits for fiscal year 24. The projected current year deficit for athletics is 24 million, which is a significant increase from the second quarter projected deficit of 17.5 million and last year's actual deficit of about 17 million. There are several factors causing the decreases in the athletic and auxiliaries fund balances. In the past, Tech's operating budget has been able to fund a portion of the athletic expense. However, this year, an adjustment was made to move those expenses back to the athletic budget, and this is the reason for the majority of the increase in Tech's athletic deficit. Nichols also had a significant decrease in its auxiliaries fund balance, which was caused by a transfer of funds from the auxiliaries to the operating fund to provide additional support to their operating fund budget. McNeese also had a significant decrease in auxiliaries fund balance, but this was because of a transfer to help fund their new student union. The last report presents the receipts, disbursements, and changes in fund balance of certain restricted funds for the quarter ended March 31st, 2024. With their quarterly reports, the campuses provide certifications of certain assurances about their operations. They did not note any areas of immediate concern. All the certifications and their individual reports are available for view in our system office, and this is a report only and no action by the board is necessary.
And this completes the discussion items, Mr. Davis.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Any other business before the Finance Committee? If not, that concludes the business of the Finance Committee. I guess we need a motion to adjourn. Finance
No,
or not?
If you could
Just go to
continue
personnel.
personnel. Thank you, Mr. Davison.
Okay. And I have personnel also. So we have 8 items on the Personnel Committee agenda today that are being presented on the consent agenda. Ms. Keisha Neal will provide an overview of today's items.
Thank you, Mr. Davison. Good afternoon, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and board members. J1, Louisiana Tech University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Henrietta Pichon as the Dean of the College of Education and Human Sciences effective June 1st, 2024. J2, McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Kedrick Nichols as Senior Vice President for Student Affairs effective July 1st, 2024. J3, McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Charles Stewart as Dean of the College of Science, Engineering, and Math effective July 1st, 2024. J4, McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Michael Buckles as Interim Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs effective July 1st, 2024. J5, McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Ms. April Broussard as Interim Vice President for Business Affairs effective July 1st, 2024. J6, McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Kagan Lejeune as Interim Dean for the College of Liberal Arts effective July 1st, 2024. J7, Northwestern State University's request for approval to continue the appointment of Dr. Amy Badeau as Interim Dean of the College of Nursing and School of Allied Health effective July 1st, 2024. J8, Southeastern Louisiana University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Claire Procopio as Dean of the College of Honors and Excellence effective July 1st, 2024. Mr. Davison, that includes the items today.
These agenda items have been reviewed by staff and are recommended for approval. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Dr. Clark?
Comment first, I'm very glad to see Dr. Kedrick Nichols being named today. He's been in great service to the board over the years in a number of different capacities, and it's nice to see you accede to that title. So congratulations on that. I may be preceding other things that are to happen here. I don't know, but I wanted to note that. I'm curious on the interim titles, or the 3 on 4, 5, and 6. These are all interim positions. Are we doing searches on those? Is that what the plan is? If we could.
Yes, sir.
Well,
So we've been a little bit busy, and so we have, as we learned in the search, when we were going through the search, we were going to, we had a whole leadership team that was going to be departing, and that we were going to have to expedite that process as quick as possible. I'm going to introduce some folks in a little bit, because I'm very proud of it, but in the case of Dr. Nicholas, we've already run a search. That search is official. The other ones are, we're just trying to get our feet on the ground here to get us into the academic year, and then we will start in order from the provost going back and running formal searches. But we needed a team in place as quick as possible, as we learned in the search, and I'm honored that these folks have stepped up for the betterment of our university and our community. So I'm excited to introduce them in a little bit.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public? If no one requires further clarification, may I have a motion and a second for approval of these items listed on the agenda? So moved, Stokes and Salter is the second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? All right, do we have any new personnel that want to come be introduced?
We have four. We also, in that four, we have Dr. Randall Langston from UNO. He was approved in April, so he's here with us today as well.
Please come forward and let us welcome.
So I am so excited to introduce to you Dr. Randall Langston. You might remember we squeezed him into the April meeting because he wanted to start early. He wanted to start on May 8th, and there is no position more important for UNO at this time. I'm thrilled to be able to work with him. Dr. Langston has served as Senior Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management at the University of Southern Mississippi. He's also served in executive roles at the University of Central Missouri and at Texas Women's University, as well as doing private consulting. He has hit the ground running, and I am just so thrilled to have him be at this meeting and to hopefully have you all welcome him.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Johnson. And I want to thank first the board for your support and me. That means a lot to me. I also, of course, want to thank the entire leadership team at the University of New Orleans for their confidence in me as well. I've dedicated a career in enrollment management, and over the past 25 years serving our students, and I look forward to promoting student success at the core of what I do and what we all do at the University of New Orleans. Thank you all so much.
I would like to say welcome to Dr. Langford, and thank you so much. This is an area that I think I'm just so excited to see some fresh ideas come in and to take the lead on enrollment management at UNO. Thank you.
Good afternoon. And thank you. I am Dr. Donna Thomas, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at Louisiana Tech University. I am honored to introduce you to Dr. Henrietta Williams Pichon. I would like to also thank Dr. Mitzi DeSales, who has served as interim Dean of the College of Education and Human Sciences for a year, actually delayed her retirement to do that. And so we're very grateful to her for ushering us into a new era. Dr. Pichon is beginning her service upon your approval, of course, as the Dean of College of Education and Human Sciences. She comes to us with a BA in English from Louisiana Tech, a Master of Education of Secondary English Education from Louisiana Tech, and a PhD in Educational Administration from the University of New Orleans. She is originally from New Orleans, and we are delighted to have her return to Ruston and serve our students in that college. She has recently served as Dean and Professor at University of Colorado, Colorado Springs in the College of Education. She served as Dean in the College of Health, Education, and Social Transformation at New Mexico State University. And having been a member of the search group who did an exhaustive search for this position, we were impressed by her history and her record as a collaborator, innovator, and communicator. And so I would like to welcome Dr. Pishon and have her say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for this opportunity. It's really great to be home. Home is what I've been saying. I've really enjoyed my time at Louisiana Tech. I'm really excited to be returning. You've heard my educational background, and I'm really excited as a first generation student, scholar, and practitioner. It's really great to have an opportunity to work in the state of Louisiana. And so I really do thank you for this opportunity.
Good afternoon, President Gallo, Chairman Romero, and members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Claire Procopio, our new Dean of the College of Honors and Excellence. Dr. Procopio began her higher education career as a research fellow at LSU, then went on to Indiana University as faculty, came back to Louisiana to Baton Rouge Community College, working as part of Louisiana Community and Technical College system, and was pivotal in BRCC's development, not only in the academia, but in accreditation. Was a key leader in SAC COC accreditation. And during her tenure, she joined Southeastern in 2005, served as communications faculty. She is tenured professor, and then emerged to lead as a director of our College of Honors and Excellence in 7 years. In that role, she has transformed our program. She has also led our first gen transformation at our university. And I can't wait. She has also quadrupled enrollment in our College of Honors and Excellence. So Chairman Romero, that question about enrollment and accountability, I can tell you Dr. Procopio represents the best of our mission when she is unapologetic about student success. And what's unique about what she brings is our College of Honors and Excellence is not in a sense to serve the traditional honors as you would think it would. We take the best of our honors program and then we deliver that same role and mechanism to all students at our university to lift them. So I'm grateful to Claire for her leadership, her vision, and she is the definition of a team player, works across all divisions and departments, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for our College of Honors and Excellence. Dr. Procopio?
Wow, Dr. Wainwright, you made me sound really good. I feel like I should, it's hard to follow that up, but I do want to say thank you to you guys for investing in me. I'm really looking forward to it. My mom was a community college professor and president. I saw firsthand when my father returned to Southeastern and got a degree at a 50-year-old coming in and retooling and having economic opportunity. I know what a difference higher education can make to the economic opportunities of all of the citizens. And I look forward to extending more of that to the citizens that we serve in Southeast Louisiana. Thank you.
President Gallo, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we see you, Drew Brown. We're proud of you up there, buddy. And we're excited to be here today. We have, as we stated earlier, been pretty busy putting together an executive leadership team. Took our time in trying to build a room that had different balances of talent, and I'm really excited to put some of them in front of you today. The first one, I'm going to go kind of in a different order here. I'm going to go with our interim Vice President of Business Affairs, Mrs. April Broussard, and as all of you know, as we're dealing in the finances and the transition team coming in, and as we're learning more and more and more, that was a position that was a difficult sell to get someone in and be willing to go shoulder to shoulder and tackle these problems. And when you hear a little bit about our background, I think you will understand that we're in pretty good hands. So I'm honored to introduce to you today, Ms. April Broussard. Our next one is our interim vice president of our provost and a great guy. Also Caprice, a member of M&L cohort 2, I think. So has come up through the system. He'll tell you a little bit about his background. Really excited to have him serving as our provost.
Yes, that my experience with the Management and Leadership Institute roughly 5-6 years ago. There's not a day that I don't draw from that knowledge, those skills, that experience that I gained from that. So I'm very grateful that you have provided that opportunity for people within the system. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm very excited and humbled to be a part of Dr. Roos's executive leadership team and to support the team as well as the sport and for the welfare of our region, of our students and our citizens. So we're ready, and we've been working. And just listening to some of the presentation at 10 o'clock and some of the things that you said, Dr. Clark, some of the questions that you had, I thought a lot about my dad. And my dad came from generational poverty. He's from the Appalachian Mountains. And he made a decision to attend a regional college. And it's because of that decision has afforded me the opportunities that I had growing up and where I am today. So I'm very thankful for the decision he made to attend a 4-year institution. So thank you. But I'm ready, able, humbled to serve this team and the sport.
So we went get Dr. Buckles and we took him from a dean's job. So we had to backfill his dean's job. So that's why you're seeing all of this sort of domino effect. And we are very blessed to have Dr. Keegan Lejeune here to take into that role of Dr. Buckles' former dean job.
Thank you very much. I'm honored and humbled to be in this position. As a graduate of McNeese, I'm excited to provide students with what was provided me, an opportunity to learn and grow and to realize my potential. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with Dr. Roos and Dr. Buckles and of course, Dr. Nicholas.
Last but certainly not least, my guy. So the constant professional, when I got back on campus, you've heard the story, never lost the accent, but was going for a long time. Dr. Nicholas and I kind of got really close and started tackling different issues, questioning different things. He's, again, the constant professional. He's constantly, the idea of continuous learning and improving, takes it to heart. We love that. We challenging everything we do at every turn. So our senior vice president of student affairs, Dr. Kedrick Nichols.
Thank you, Dr. Roos. Mr. Chairman, President Gallo, members of the board, I'm extremely honored and grateful for this confirmation and validation of my becoming McNeese's Senior Vice President of Student Affairs. I truly appreciate the opportunity to serve McNeese, our students, and the UL system at a higher level. Throughout the interview process, and as I've been speaking with individuals on campus, I continue to say that elevated leadership means elevated service. If you're not willing to take that servitude along with you as you grow in a profession, it's not right to elevate as a leader. So I am ready and committed to provide this enhanced level of servitude that I know this position will require. I want to thank Dr. Roos for entrusting me in this role and having faith in my abilities. And speaking of those abilities, I would be extremely wrong if I did not thank the good Lord for blessing me with the abilities that I have and always providing me with opportunities to showcase the abilities that he's blessed me with. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge those of my household. I have my wife here with me today in the back, Tabitha Nicholas. Yes. And my 2 sons who are not here today, but we will definitely allow them to watch the video later, Kyle and Camden Nicholas. As I reflect on the early phases of my career, one of my first roles was serving as a student activities coordinator. If you've ever been in that world, it involves many late nights, supervising student programs, traveling, so on and so forth. As I've progressed into higher roles throughout my career, that has translated into extended days in the office, weekends at the office, late night phone calls, late night email responses, traveling for professional development engagements, and other duties outside of normal operating hours. My wife and kids have always been patient, understanding, and supportive, which has helped me tremendously. So I definitely want to thank them. There are too many other influential people to name, so I'll just say generally, you know who you are, you know what you have done to impact me, and for that, I'm truly thankful. 5 years ago, I was confirmed by this body as Dean of Students at McNeese, and I spoke about the impact of a term that was developed around that time, and ironically, I heard Dr. Norris say that during her report, and that term is systemness. And I feel that systemness was best defined by the formation of the management and leadership program. I must say today again, as I said during that confirmation, that my participation in that program was truly transformational to my professional career. It's definitely a part of why I feel like I'm definitely ready for opportunities such as this one. And Dr. Clark, with all due respect, I will say that I believe that our presentation, sorry, cohort 1, was the best, and here's why. Dr. Henderson cried after our presentation. I didn't see President Gallo pull out any tissues today, so I think we're still at the front of the list. But
Dr.
great,
Henderson cries a lot.
I know,
I mean,
I
I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed it. I don't
I know,
think
I
that
know.
necessarily
I know.
elevates things.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
just
let's
using it to
give
my
that
advantage
straight.
right now. I know that. But great job, Cohort 7. I definitely look forward to the opportunity, again, to serve McNeese as a part of the Roos administration. As he just mentioned, I've worked very closely with Dr. Roos for the last almost 3 years. I know his vision for McNeese. I'm completely aligned and on board with his vision. When I look at a student like Drew Brown sitting up with you all now as a board member, and I remember meeting with Drew one of his first semesters, and Drew just wanted an understanding of how he can grow and develop as a student that came from a small community. That's the type of alignment that Dr. Roos and I have in terms of pouring and investing in students like Drew so that they can end up in the seat that he's sitting in today. All of you have my commitment to strive for McNeese, and specifically its Division of Student Affairs, to be exemplary within the UL system and beyond. You also have my commitment that as Senior Vice President, I will be a very close resource and executive aide to Dr. Roos, as I know he will have to balance responsibilities on campus, in the community, and also here in Baton Rouge. So thank you again for this opportunity, and as always, go Pokes.
Thank you again. As you can see, we're very excited about this team we're putting together and the future of McNeese. So go Pokes.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I just want to personally commend the leadership team at McNeese and especially Dr. Roos. The turnaround here has been incredible, and I cannot think of a better group of individuals that I would trust to lead our student body. I also want to highlight 2 very important individuals other than Dr. Roos. Dr. Michael Buckles has served as my Dean of Liberal Arts and has been an incredibly effective leader of our college. And Dr. Lejeune, you got some big shoes to fill. And then most especially Dr. Kedrick Nicholas. He's an incredibly humble man. He's not going to say it in his speech, but Dr. Kedrick Nicholas has just about been the Vice President of Student Affairs ever since I stepped foot at McNeese 3 years ago. We did a restructuring my first year at McNeese, and they got rid of the Vice President of Student Affairs. And Dr. Nicholas never asked for a handout. He never asked for a thank you. He embraced the role without any of the privileges of the title. And he has always been a selfless servant to our university. And I'm extremely grateful for your service to us. Thank you, Dr. Nicholas.
Exciting stuff. That concludes personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Davison. And I think this is a great opportunity to segue for Supervisor Drew Brown to make some comments about himself. And I certainly appreciate the great words you've stated about McNeese.
So anybody that knows me personally knows that I dread giving the speeches. I'm much more of a personal person. I don't really enjoy addressing to the group, but I had coffee with Chairman Romero this morning, And he told me to relish the opportunity and understand that you don't get opportunities like this every day in your life. So I decided against everything that, to go against the grain and give a speech myself. It is an incredible honor to stand before you today as the newly elected student board member for the University of Louisiana System Board of Supervisors. I am extremely grateful for the trust and confidence that my fellow student body presidents have placed in me to represent the voices of over 80,000 students across our 9 universities. First and foremost, I want to express my sincere thanks to those who elected me. Your support and belief in my ability to serve in this capacity means more to me than words could ever express. I'm committed to upholding this responsibility with dedication, integrity, and a steadfast focus on the needs and aspirations of our student communities. To me, this role is not just a title, but rather is a call to action. It is a commitment to listen actively, advocate passionately, and work tirelessly to ensure that the concerns and ideas of our students are heard and addressed at the highest levels. Our universities are the catalyst for innovation, leadership, and progress. And I believe that it is our duty as supervisors to foster an environment where every student has the opportunity to thrive and be successful. As we move forward, my goal is to strengthen the connection between our students and the University of Louisiana System Board. I aim to be a transparent and accessible representative, always open to dialogue and ready to champion initiatives that enhance our educational experiences, support our mental and physical well-being, and prepare us for the challenges of the future. Together, we can achieve remarkable things, and together we can ensure that our universities not only educate, but also inspire and empower. I'm excited to get to work, to collaborate with you all, and to make a meaningful impact that will benefit not just our current students, but also future generations to come. Thank you all for this opportunity to serve alongside you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Drew. We all look forward to serving with you over this next year. If I would, Mr. President Gallo, if you could present your report at this time.
Thank you.
Here we go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd first like to present the personnel actions for summer school and summer school pay schedules. Board members, you were provided an email with the personnel actions and summer school pay schedules for your review. Staff has reviewed all these requests and recommend approval. Mr. Chairman, we need a motion and a second to approve this matter.
Thank you, President Gallo. It's moved by Dr. Clark. Second by Mr. Stevens. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, I'll just cover very briefly. The legislative session ended on last week. There were a number of bills passed, but I'll just highlight a couple that are significant to the system. The first being House Bill 940 by Representative Turner, which will give us an opportunity to address deferred maintenance across all of higher education. We met with presidents earlier this morning to discuss some of the mechanics of moving that forward. So we're certainly very grateful for the legislature and especially the leadership of the Speaker and President and Senate in moving that initiative forward. Of course, House Bill 1 and the supplemental bill, House Bill 782 by Representative McFarland, providing funding for the entire state, and certainly our portion for the University of Louisiana system. We look forward to having those signed and becoming law. Also, there was House Bill 862 by Representative Hughes, providing tuition flexibility for high-cost programs. The Board of Regents, I believe at their next meeting, will approve the list of high-cost programs so that not just our system, but all of higher ed will have an opportunity to have the ability to address high-cost programs. Again, there were other matters passed before the legislature, but I will just stop with those that are relevant to our operations. Any questions from any board members on those? All right, moving on to proposed board rule revision. You were provided, members, with proposed revision to current board rule Chapter 2, Students, Section 11, Safety and Security, A through D. As you've reviewed, you see that the name of the report has changed from the Uniform Crime Reports to the National Incident-Based Reporting System. The report shall include applicable offenses contained within groups A and B as specified in the most recently published edition of the NIBRS. This revision will be listed on the August meeting agenda and up for your approval at that time. For those of you who were here earlier, you had the opportunity to, like I did, to attend the presentation by Cohort 7 of the Management and Leadership Institute. The depth and timeliness of their projects presented was certainly very well received, and I think will provide a great opportunity for our system to utilize the information presented. And I certainly want to commend Dr. Henderson for setting them out on a very good course and doing research and providing a report to us at the culmination of their year-long journey with relevant data and information that will help us as a system really move us forward. So thank you again to the Cohort 7. I have grown to learn that they all profess to be the best cohort each year. So Ked, y'all are consistent. Let me just put it that way. Let me also commend Dr. Caprice Ayub for her continued, investment of time and into the students or to the participants of the program, far beyond just a job. I think she's really taken it on as a ministry, and I certainly value and appreciate the work that she continues to pour into our M and LI program. And lastly, we will welcome this year's class who will begin their journey in August. And we stand eager to invite them in and to see the great work that they will do over the next year. And I'm sure they will profess to be the best M&LI program cohort as well. Next week, we will have the Black Male Summit that will take place at the Hilton New Orleans Riverside Hotel, June 17th and 18th. And building on the tremendous success of last year's event, the system team and partners led by Dr. Claire Norris have curated a program for this year that promises to be equally informative and enriching. The number of registrants for this year's summit exceeded the expectations, and so as a result, a larger space was secured in order to accommodate the large number of participants to this year's Black Male Summit. This summer, the Bridging the Divide series will again offer enriching programs beginning on June 24th through 28th with an artificial intelligence intensive program exploring the latest advancements in artificial intelligence. From July 8th through 26th, faculty and staff will have the opportunity to pilot and earn an AI micro-credential. This has been collaboratively developed by a team of educators and professionals from across the system and funded through a Board of Regents e-learning grant and led by our very own Meredith King from University of New Orleans. From August 5th through the 9th, programming focusing on mental health. Lost my place. On mental health and resilience, creating a culture of care is planned. This session focuses on supportive environment and providing participants with essential tools for well-being. Lastly, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, one of our partners, also provides virtual training throughout the summer. Thank you to Magnese's Dr. Kevin Yods for leadership as well as the Mental Health Advisory Council. Further details on these events will be provided if you desire from Dr. Katie Dawson. Over the last few months, I've had several board members who've requested various updates on the digital library and learning commons at Grambling State University. So today I've asked President Lamel and Dr. Lidoff if they would come and provide an update on the on the digital library and where we are on that project.
Good afternoon, Chair Romero, President Gallo. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an update. I often look at patterns, and sometimes that pattern comes in a series. When Dr. Clark visited our campus recently to view the library, he reminded me to look at the difference between activity and progress. On last weekend, I had the opportunity to honor attorney Thomas Todd, and he was well regarded for a statement about not confusing movement with progress. And then on today, we heard from ML and I about combining knowledge with action, and that equals progress. And so we'll provide an update that hopefully leads us towards the evolution of a circle, progress. Next slide, please. So we open up with our headline. Our headline is that we anticipate the opening of the doors of the digital library, the first in the state, the first at an HBCU, in early August of 2024. Classes for our students begin on August 19th. And so we are certain that our students, our community, our board members, those within the legislature, our governor, will be excited about the evolution of a circle and our progress. Next slide, please. Our focus areas and transition plan include everything from IT infrastructure to security and staffing. As you can imagine, with a building that has been constructed but not occupied, we have some diligence to do in the building. We also need to ensure that our campus culture and our student experience is also ready for a new building, as well as our staff. And so we are doing some continuous improvement planning as we prepare for the opening. That includes discussions about our operating hours, the technology being utilized, and the type of programming that we know will inspire both our students and our community. And we do have additional additions that we anticipate for the space after the opening of the library, to include a coffee shop and commons. And so now I will turn it over to the gentleman I like to call the closer. He's going to get it done, and we're going to execute each and every day toward that evolution of a circle. Dr. Edwin Litoff. Next slide, please.
Good afternoon. Chairman Marrero, President Gallo, members of the board. It's hard to believe that after 3 years, we're at this point now where we're at the point of closure. The biggest problem that we had was on the north wall. We have already taken care of the east wall. It's been completed. The bricks have been put back on. It's been tested. So the east wall was probably one of the most difficult components of it, has been completed. They've been working on the south wall. Those are the metal panels. They've been water testing those as they go. And the water panels, the metal panels have been put on in the last week, 2 weeks. So the west side is again some more of the brick. So the 3 walls on those 3 sides are done. Facilities planning and control is going to schedule a professional water tester to come in and do a testing on the south and the west wall in 2 weeks. The front brick wall, which was the one that the architects and designers had developed a solution for it, the contractor went in and made the repairs, took off all the bricks on the front, made the repairs, The next rain we had, water came in as much as it had done before. So they went back to the drawing board, and that's really the component that's taken the most. It's on the front side where all the glass is. They developed a test component. We have a picture of the test.
Yes, next slide, please.
So what we did is we did a demo, made those improvements that everybody had agreed to. We tested about a 10-foot section. We water tested that the whole time. That passed, and that was about a month ago. And since then, all the supplies have come in, and they have pretty much completed most of the repairs on that. They'll start putting in some of the bricks, and then they will add the rest of the moisture barrier in there. And the anticipation is that by mid-July, the work will be completed. We'll have a final water test. And FPNC, we met yesterday. They're going to come back in and certify the HVACs, the elevators, make sure all the IT, they went in yesterday and checked all the outlets and found that there's 20 electrical outlets that aren't working. So they're going to have to do some improvements and updates. But they've hired a company to come in and do a final punch list. And our anticipation is that in early, or actually late July, early August, we will take occupancy of the building.
And you see our final review items. This is not fully comprehensive, but categories, if you will, as Dr. Litoff mentioned. But we are diligent in this regard. We thank you for the support of system staff, the support of our system president and leadership to be consistently committed to this cause and getting us to the finish line for what we know will be a first-in-class operation, not just from a student success standpoint, but from a campus community and engagement, because this library will service Grambling students, but also the broader Lincoln Parish community. We'll pause and answer any questions that you may have.
Dr. Litoff, I have a question. I know you just mentioned the 20 or 25 outlets that are not working. Are there any other systems checks that can be going on now while waiting for the waterproofing, or does the waterproofing have to go first? Or is there any other things that we can be running to try to make sure that everything is getting towards this closure without waiting for just the waterproofing?
Yes, sir. What they've done is they've hired another contracting company that's coming in and is going to test and go back through all of the components. They found that there was a belt broken on one of the air handlers. They're going to have to clean the ducts. So they're going to be working on getting everything cleaned up and corrected so that in August, it'll be a brand new building ready for us to implement.
Question over here. Who's the architectural or engineering firm that we have that's representing us in this whole process?
Our representation is through Facilities Planning and Control. So they are the organizer, driver, the ones that are coordinate everything, paying for everything.
So the state's providing the engineering firm?
We
Or the
went
engineer?
we went to Architectural Selection Board, and the Architectural Selection Board selected two firms, one from Lafayette and one from New Orleans, and those are the two design firms that had designed it as a collaboration. And those are the ones that were selected by the Architectural Selection Board.
So they're the ones who are gonna sign off on this project at the end?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I might add, Supervisor Robinson, the way the Architectural Selection Board process works, there are a number of votes that have to be gathered. Neither Grambling nor FP&C voted for this particular collaborative effort of architecture firms, but they got the job anyway. So just, of note, this was not these were not firms that were our choice, nor the choice of Facility Planning Control. And we've we've shared with our legislators, the need to really relook at this entire process and how we select professionals to do our programs.
Dr. Lamel, can remind me how many years this has now been since we thought we were going to be opening this and celebrating?
We had an anticipated opening in 2021, and we are in 2024. Yes, sir.
We broke ground September 2019.
2019.
Still have the shovel.
Unbelievable.
Yes, still have the shovel. Yes.
I just think we would be remiss as we go through this. One, you know that I'm wanting to celebrate, but I'm very hesitant to get excited yet. And I appreciate certainly the diligence that you as a leader, Dr. Gallo, when he was president, Edwin, and others who have, attempted to shepherd this process all the way through. But the bigger concern I have is the impact that it's had detrimentally on the psyche and the learning capacity for, 3 or 4, years worth of students now that were expecting, anticipating, who have had to look at this albatross at the time. Now we're going to change the look to this new creation. I don't think we can ever, replace what we lost in that sense, but we certainly as a board need to be diligent in making certain that everything is not only up to speed and functioning and working in a limited sense, but if there are things that have happened over the last 3 years, and I'm thinking of IT, I'm thinking of bandwidth, I don't know all the different, aspects that need to be considered. We need to do everything we can to assure that we continue to focus on providing the best and absolute, circumstance that we can for those students.
Yes, sir. And that process is ongoing, everything from reviewing the computer equipment that is currently in the building. And we know useful life on technology is shorter and shorter these days. And so we're having those type of conversations.
And is the funding available, or is this something that is considered in part of the acceptance package or not? How does that work?
It's one of the responsibilities that FPNC is accepted.
Dr. Lamel, I am curious.
Go ahead.
Okay. I am curious, has there been any degree of communication with the student body as far as like what they can anticipate?
Thank you for that question. Yes, and thank you to Supervisor Pierre, who attended our recent groundbreaking for our student success building on the campus of Grambling State University. Our student leaders have been involved with us. Our new SGA president and Ms. Grambling State have been involved with us during our bi-weekly project meetings, as well as our discussions just about overall capital improvements for the campus. Post today's discussion, we are preparing for a webinar for all stakeholders, students particularly, as well as our alums, to discuss the progress report and status update on the library. And so that is forthcoming. We wanted to have this conversation first before we had a more public discussion and really leverage the space of public relations to inspire action as well in the conversation that we are putting all of our community in a representative fashion about what to expect. So student leadership involved right now, broader campus community being engaged over the next few weeks. And our Instagram channel is always very active with student comments, and the library from a sentiment analysis is one of the topics that comes up the most. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lamel. Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you, President Lamel and Dr. Litoff. Let me just add that one of the requests Dr. Litoff had before joining Grambling was that he would have an opportunity to oversee facilities. I think he's probably questioned that request a few times, but we certainly appreciate his diligence, and all of you who know him and have worked with him know that when he gets after something, he gets after it. So Edwin, thank you for your diligence and really holding everyone's feet to the fire to get this corrected and get the building open. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking of accountability earlier, Bruce Janay has scheduled an in-person ethics session in conjunction with the October 24th board meeting. It'll be held here. The session starts at 9 a.m. So if you plan to attend, please arrive on time, as you must be present for the entire session to receive the credit. It'll be held in room 153 on this floor. For those of you who cannot attend the October event, Bruce is going to be sending each of you a link to the ethics online, as well as preventing sexual harassment modules. Both of these courses must be completed no later than December 31st. Dr. Gallo and I have been working very closely with Dr. Janine O'Rourke in developing a search committee and schedule for the Northwestern State University's president search. As we all know, that has reached a point where we're going to start the process. We're going to release a timeline and announce the committee in short order. At the conclusion of the search process, we'll call a special meeting, and at that time, we'll announce the next president of Northwestern State University. Also, the board is going to receive a brief update on pending litigation, and due to the nature of these discussions, we're going to meet in executive session. The Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana system may meet in executive session to discuss pending litigation under the provisions of Louisiana Revised Statute 4217. While in executive session, the committee may not make any motions or take any notes. May I have a motion and a second to go into executive session? Motion by Dr. Salter.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Stevens. Carol, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Brown, Dr. Clark, Mr. Davison,
Yes.
Dr. Leatherman,
Yes.
Mr. Perkins,
Yes.
Mr. Peterson, Ms. Pierre, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Romero,
Yes.
Ms. Russell, Mr. Salter, Mr. Stevens.
Yes.
Ms. Stokes. It's unanimous.
Thank you, Carol. We will recess to executive session. session, no motions were taken nor votes made. Is there a motion to reconvene in open session? Moved by Mr. Perkins, second by Ms. Leatherman. All in favor? Back in open session. Our next regular board meeting is August 22nd here in Baton Rouge. Stay tuned. We'll be in touch. Is there any further business to come before the board at this time? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Ms. Leatherman. I think it's unanimous second. Y'all have a great weekend.